Hello everyone, we're back with the 2025 Toyota Corolla Hatchback XSE. Today I want to talk about how this ended up being the car that I chose. I was between the Honda Civic Hatchback, this car, you've got the Mazda 3. I was mainly concerned about getting a 4-cylinder automatic transmission, and I also wanted a hatchback. That was the most important thing. I love the hatchback body style. Fits my lifestyle perfectly. The interior, I will say, is a little minimal. The XSE does come with the half leather, half fabric power seats. Only the driver's power, the passenger's manual. Does have lumbar adjustment for the driver. The JBL option speakers. The only thing I've added on is a FitCam X dash cam. Very OEM. Looks really good. It replaces this whole shroud up here. And the dash cam is integrated right there. It's nice. I like it. Let's go ahead and take this thing for a spin. One of the main things about the CVT transmission in this car, which as I'm sure you've heard of, CVTs don't have the best reputation. They've got poor launching from the first gear, basically, even though there is no first gear, it's a pulley that gets larger. First gear is typically, or just coming up from a start, is typically not too great in a CVT. That's also where the most amount of stress on the transmission is applied, getting all that weight off the line. What Toyota has done is they have added a real first gear, a real launch gear as they call it, in this CVT transmission. And I will say, the acceleration is perfectly fine. I mean, I come from a few sports cars, GTIs, Focus STs. I mean, this thing gets up and goes just fine, especially for, a little 4-cylinder, non-turbo. It's very smooth when you're, already up to speed. All CVTs are fairly smooth once you're up to speed, but it's really just getting off the line where they struggle the most. And that's why they're unreliable as well, because they take all that stress when they launch off the line. They take all that stress on the CVT. And I believe Toyota's, idea with this is, if we take off the most stressful job of the CVT, then it should be more durable. It should last longer. If 90% of the stress of a CVT is getting it off the line, and then you take away the job of getting it off the line from the CVT, I mean, that should definitely increase how long it lasts. Let's go ahead and pop it into sport mode here, and watch this. You can start to hear the engine. But there we go. I mean, boom, all the way up to 40 that quick. And that's not even flooring it. I mean, I'm still in the, even though Toyota says there's no engine break-in period, I'm still waiting until 1,000 miles before I floor it. Not that this car ever needs to be floored, but I mean, just to show you, it's got giddy up if you need it to. Really, I'm sorry, there's a jet going over. Really the sport mode and the normal mode and the eco mode, all that's going to do is it's going to keep your RPMs at a lower state. That's going to reduce your gas mileage for sure. But what that will also do is keep the throttle response better when the RPMs are higher. But I mean, even from 20, we'll give it 3/4 throttle. In eco mode, it'll kick up the RPMs and it'll get you up to speed. I mean, this is about as loud as this engine gets at 3,500 RPMs. Trying to get up to 60 right here. That's about as much throttle as you need to give this thing, and it's perfectly fine. I've been averaging about 30 miles, 31 miles to the gallon in the 540 miles I've gone. I will say, this car is just so extremely smooth. I mean, look, we're cruising here at 60 miles an hour just about, and I feel like I could whisper, and you guys can hear me just fine. The wind noise is not much at all. I even have a roof rack on top, but it doesn't seem to get any buffeting, which is nice. But it's so very smooth. It's exactly what I was looking for. I mean, the Mazda looked nice, and it did have a traditional automatic instead of a CVT, but it doesn't have multi-link rear suspension in the back, and I've heard that can be a little bit jarring if you don't have the smoothest roads. Here in Virginia Beach, they're alright, but there's definitely some dips. But really, the main reason why I didn't go with the Mazda 3 is not because of the transmission difference, but because of the engine difference. The Mazda is direct injection, and if you ever owned a direct injection car, you know that carbon buildup is a natural con of a direct injection motor, and so you are going to have to get that carbon buildup cleaned out. You know, I plan on owning this car for as long as I can, and I don't want to have to do a lot of maintenance like an intake induction service, you know, where you have to take that to a shop. I'm not too comfortable doing something like that on my own. I'm not sure if that's something that dealerships offer either. They might. I mean, I'm sure the ones that have direct injection do, but it's also not a cheap service, and I know those are not built into maintenance plans. So even if the dealer offers it, it's probably not going to be free, like a lot of oil changes and cabin air filters and engine air filters and stuff like that are. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that this car is fast either. It's not. It's not. I mean, I think it weighs like 3,200 pounds, 3,300 pounds, and I think it's got like 169 horsepower. Who knows if that's at the crank or at the wheels. It's not a lot, but then again, no one's buying this car to win races. You know, people are buying this car because they want something that's going to work every day. They want it to be reliable, and they want to know that it's going to work. You know, everything in here works. We got dials, real buttons for the things that you need real buttons for. Heat, changing the mode. Not a huge fan of the electric parking brake, but I mean, everything feels good. I love the click of the buttons. Everything feels very solid. I'm really impressed with the comfortable nature of this car. Everything's very soft and plush. This is all soft touch. It's a little bit hard if you really, when you look around, like that back there. I'm not a huge fan of this plastic or the piano black, but you know, you're not gonna find a car that's you love everything about it. I mean, maybe if you spend over, you know, 50 grand on a car, you'll probably find a perfect one, but it's gonna take you a while. I think for sub $30,000, if you're looking for a smaller size vehicle that doesn't need all-wheel drive, and I mean, you get this in all-wheel drive actually now I think about it, but if you're just looking for reliable, compact, simple, I mean, the Corolla has always been the option for that, and I don't think that's changed here in 2024 going into 2025. The Honda Civic was a really close second. I went and test drove one, but I'll be honest, it felt horrible. It was extremely jarring over bumps. The car is way over dampened. I mean, you hit a pothole and you jump 2 inches out of your seat. The steering was way too light. I mean, this one is light too, but if you put it in the sport mode, it does artificially make it a little bit heavier with the electronic steering rack, but it was too light in all the modes. It was very squirrely. It felt cheaper. It sounded cheaper. It wasn't as insulated as this car is. There's a lot of road noise, just a lot of creaks and rattles, and I mean, not rattles, it was a new car, but it just didn't feel as quality. Yes, there were a nicer interior, but this feels better put together. And I don't see myself switching to another hatchback anytime soon. I mean, maybe if I wanted to get something more performance oriented, then you can look at, you know, I mean, look at this WRX coming across right now. That one's gorgeous, except for all the plastic cladding. This car's been great though. I mean, I'm only 546 miles in, but I'll keep you guys updated on how the car experience goes. So far, so good. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Have a good rest of your day.